welcome to the Partnership Publishing podcast, viewers and listeners. Today we are joined by the one and only Hafiza Issa. Hello. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on our podcast today, finally, after your debut release of Earmuffs to the Moon. This is a beautiful, for those that can't see, it's a beautiful paperback children's picture book, and it has been illustrated by Sarah Lee Wills of Happy Designer. So can't wait, we'll get stuck into conversation because there's so much to talk about. But yeah, for those that are listening and watching, welcome, and maybe introduce yourself a little bit.
Okay, so my name is Hafiza. I am author of Earmuffs to the Moon. And Earmuffs to the Moon was, I would say, 2 years in the making. It's so beautiful the way you showcase it there, Flo. Just do that again.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's my pride and joy, honestly, because it's not just a normal book. It's a very special book with a special message. The inspiration behind the book was my son. He has a diagnosis of autism, ASD, and our journey together, had it just highlighted, from a very young age, a few issues that we were having, particularly in my community. People weren't really talked about autism. There just wasn't many conversations happening. It was more like on a parent level, it stopped because there was a lot of denial, and there's a lot of that going on. And I just thought, oh my gosh, like, these kids are assets to the society. We need to just, crack this, whatever's going on. We need to break the taboo, and we need to start talking about it. And this book happened quite organically. And it's gone down so well, and I'm really the most important thing is people are very receptive, which is good, because people want to know, and they take away the message, and that's really important, because it's not just a book and you put it on the shelf. There are so many themes in there that you can discuss. I go into loads of schools, and every time I talk about different themes, because there's so much to discuss. So yeah, you need the book.
Yeah, people do. If you're listening to this and you want to follow Hafiza, she's fantastic on social media. So best place to catch her is Instagram, but Hafiza is on Twitter, and just Google her, she'll be there. But Hafiza has made kind of waves, if you like, for the autism community, and especially with the children's books, because the market, and this is what we loved so much when we received your manuscript, that there wasn't really a lot out there, especially in the picture book side of kind of the children's picture book world, specifically written subtly, but for the autism kind of community, or definitely for schools or for parents, and I think naturally it helps so many children. So when we read the manuscript, we absolutely fell in love with Earmuffs to the Moon. And then for us to find out and know that you were going to have your book illustrated by Happy Designer was just another bonus. But how did you find your process of your kind of writing coming to life, I guess, through imagery?
Oh, do you know what it is, Flo? My mind is constantly on the go, and in my head, the manuscript was a manuscript written in just a pucker pad when I got the time, in between dinners, literally that ad hoc. But my mind, I'd seen it whilst I'm cooking. I was thinking all these different things, and in my mind, I'd already imagined that this is what Sarah's going to look like, and this, and then eventually when the book's out, this is the award I'm going to get.
Yeah.
So like I said, it's because I imagine all these weird and wonderful scenarios. It's almost subconscious thing to hit that like benchmark every time, because you're thinking it. And I heard a podcast the other day about this, and I thought, oh my God, I had to stop for a second and think, that's me. That's me.
Like, you've done it.
Things that or just out of beyond, not something that you think you can do. You just think it because
Yeah.
you think it's so out of your league.
Yeah.
But guess what? Out of all those different scenarios you've imagined, one of them
Mm.
became true because you
Became
thought it.
true.
And it's so powerful. And I do this Friday quotes thing. I've been doing it for 15 years. Every Friday I'd compose a quote, assign a little picture to it, and send them out. And I always get back, if I'm a little bit late sending this Friday quote, I'm always like, oh my God, are you all right? Or what day is it? Is it already Friday? You know, this kind of,
Yeah.
and I just know that in there I'm always talking about this,
Yeah.
that it's so, you know, your imagination is so powerful, but positivity
Mm.
and thinking you can do it when
Mm.
you know, you're just at home, but just imagining those things, because you've already had that imagery in your head, it gets
Yeah.
stored. And there's
Yeah.
psychological processes that happen within subconsciously that
Mm.
help you towards that goal if you take the steps. So
Yeah.
reach for the stars. Yes.
I know, reach for the stars. Well, what I thought, good place to kind of again just go that little bit deeper with the Earmuffs to the Moon. So I'm just going to read the blurb, and then I'm going to, for people that can see, just open the book through because it is absolutely stunning. The Earmuffs to the Moon is a story of bravery, self-discovery, wonder, and awe. It is a celebration of our majestic universe as seen through the eyes of Sarah, an autistic girl who has dreams of shooting into space. The playful rhymes take the reader on an exhilarating journey with Sarah. They are invited into her vision, her interpretation, her imagination, and her delight in the glorious world around her. Sarah learns to overcome the barrier of labels. She is a girl who refuses to sit inside the box that society places her in. Instead, she embraces what the world would call her differences, for these differences are indeed her superpowers. She is a girl who marks her own path, a path that takes her to a magical place amongst the stars.
Gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling, doesn't it? It gives
I
it me.
know, I get goosebumps when I read this out loud. And so to give you, so you've got a beautiful "This book belongs to," and here's to all the squares living in a world full of circles, because you're bold, because you're brave, because you're different.
And Flo, honestly, something on that. It took me so long to come up with that page, because that's the first page somebody reads. And
Yes,
I've always thought about, you know, because, you know, when you read books, you find these quirky dedications and
yeah,
acknowledgements. And I've always wanted to compose something like that of my own. And I had to think so hard, what can I write on there that'll make somebody smile immediately and want to go on to the next page? And
yeah,
so many people have commented on that, you know, they can imagine it, they can picture it, and it puts it down. Autism, that is autism, you know, they're trying to fit into a society that doesn't fully understand them. So it's circles and squares, and it worked really well.
yeah. It's magic. That is what it is, I think. And it's your tone, like the story is beautifully written. It is in rhyme. It mentions it in the blurb there. It's clever. And I think how you've been able to connect with readers, whether that's parents reading the story to children, or teachers, you know, reading the book aloud to classes, or children reading for themselves. I think there's a connectivity there, and there's definitely a relatability factor, because generally of how, I mean, how your words kind of jump out on the page with the illustrations from Happy Designer. I mean, I'm just giving a few sneak peeks as we go, for those that are watching, but the actual story itself is just magical. We mentioned earlier you've been into schools quite a bit. So for those interested in learning more about Earmuffs to the Moon, I mean, you've reached Amazon bestseller list. You know, you've really, this book is doing wonders for the autism community, and it's all congratulations, you know, to yourself, because it's the work that you're doing even with your local community and then the extended community worldwide that this book is really kind of paving the way. So how have you found your school visits? What do you enjoy the most about this kind of new author journey?
Love it. Do you know what it is? The most important thing for me is it's the children's reactions. Like if I don't say anything, just the fact that there's a moon, I didn't realize this. I mean, this is coincidence, but just the fact that there's a moon on that front cover, they glued, because I've come to realize children love the moon. I've come to realize all children, they love the idea of having a fantasy adventure in space. These are all things that were just I've just come to know. I based it in space and things because my little one was very, to this day, very passionate about space and all things space related. So for me to write the book in space, it was just like a non-starter. But I've realized all children love it. So they love it. They love space. They love the fact that it's a girl astronaut. That's come up a lot. And these things are not, some of them are deliberate, but some were just like, oh yeah, I mean, I'm learning as well. I'm
Yeah.
going through this, like, oh yeah, that's clever,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really, I love the Q&As. The Q&As are amazing. The questions and
Oh,
answers from little kids. And
yeah.
that's the reason that's what pushes me to go to these schools. And first of all, I'll introduce myself and things. And I mean, to be honest, I'm a big kid at heart. So I just love being there because I mean, my professional background is in optics. I'm a dispensing optician, but my career changed overnight. Like I decided, yeah, I'm going to become a teacher, and I was accepted at Manchester School of Teaching in Didsbury, and it was all done. And overnight, my career changed like that.
Wow.
So for me, doing this now, it's like a blast, like from what could have been. And it's really nice because I don't have like the bureaucracy, because my sister's a teacher and I know all the red tape and everything that goes behind it, so I don't have any of that. I
Yeah.
just go in, I just read my book, and I get that fulfillment. To
Yeah.
teaching is a very fulfilling job, and I
Yeah.
get that fulfillment from what I do. And it's really good because, and all schools are really different. Like that's a really good thing. That's why I'm really advocating wanting to go into schools and things, because every single school I've visited so far has been different. They've all been really brilliant because all children, they come from a different demographic, so they are different.
Yeah. Yeah.
um and so they ask different kind of questions, and but they've all been really different. So I love the fact that every school visit has been a different
Yeah.
experience for me, and they're very special. And the Q&As, I must say, I do this for the Q&As because it really gives me an insight into what they think autism is, what they think a neurodivergent mind is. So many kids haven't heard of a neurodivergent mind. So these are words that I want people to talk about, like they talk about autism, like they talk about, I don't know, anything,
Yeah.
any kind of like a struggle. It's not a disability, a struggle. And people need to know that it comes in hand to hand. They have the be all and end all of the book. The message is we have to nurture these children that have ASD, because they can put back into society. They can be assets to society, and they can put back into society 10 times faster than a neurotypical person can, because of their makeup. So if we understand that fundamental understanding needs to be there. If we understand that, then that can raise, people that are empathetic towards them, that are sympathetic towards them, and also understand them, and then ultimately provide, in whichever situation, provide that nurturing environment for them to excel, because that's what they need. They judge, they're always being judged because they look a bit different, because in town centre, maybe they've got some, ear defenders on, and they're bopping their head because they're stimming and all these things. And so these words need to become normal for people to understand. Stimming, why they stim, ear defenders. That's why I chose ear defenders. And I thought that's very like clunky. It's not very friendly. Change it to a fuzzy pair of colourful earmuffs.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, who goes into
Yeah.
space with earmuffs? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So kids
Oh,
love it because it's
yeah.
very a little bit out there, and when I really break it down, kids understand it, they accept it. So many
Yeah.
people, parents have actually messaged me, reached out on Instagram and messaged me saying, my child has come home telling me they need to buy this book, or my child has come home telling me about all these things about autism, and what were you
Wow.
saying at school? And I think, wow, I mean, that is just earmuffs
Yeah.
to me, is just getting started.
Mm.
So
And
yeah.
that is so true. So that's incredible. So parents obviously getting in touch with you, teachers getting in touch with you, libraries. I mean, we know that this book, I mean, we've seen the response as your publishers, you know, it has been incredible. And I think, you know, credit to you, the message is getting out there. And then for you to have that opportunity to help and aid children, you know, in that environment and see it firsthand and have those questions. And like you say, it's getting children that have never even heard about all of these kind of new terms. It's all very new to them, but understand it in an instant.
Friendly way, yeah. Like it's not a daunting thing. People
Yeah.
think autism, oh, it's daunting. But I
No.
mean, I don't even judge. Like I'd probably be the same if I wasn't immersed in
Yeah.
this. So I don't judge anyone. It's
No.
just about education, and it's about having the onus on yourself to it's a moral obligation for everybody in society to educate yourself, not just autism, all forms of neurodiversity, you know, epilepsy, dyspraxia, dyslexia, autism, all of it is a form of neurodivergence. So, you know, it needs to be, I mean, I always say these kind of things need to be taught in school, but that's another conversation. Yeah, I'm not going to that.
We'll get, yeah. I think this is it, ultimately. It's a conversation that
Yeah.
started. And like you say, Earmuffs to the Moon, Hafiza Hakim, the author of Earmuffs to the Moon, is just getting started. And I think naturally, anyone listening to this, anyone watching this that is just enthused, encouraged, wants to know more, wants to find out more about everything that's happening, get in touch. Please do either contact ourselves direct via the publishers, Magic Mouse Books, or you can contact Hafiza direct, get on social media, hashtag Earmuffs to the Moon. I think the response so far has just been, you know, incredible. It's been a whirlwind up to now, and now we are just getting started. There's going to be so much more conversation that can be had surrounding Earmuffs to the Moon. Hafiza's already, she's got a bench in her local community.
Gosh, that was a bit, oh yeah, that was a bit surreal. But yeah, I thought I have to take this opportunity, put Earmuffs to the Moon on that bench under that plaque. I was like, right, take this picture. This is frozen time. That was very nice.
Absolutely. What a
Nice.
moment in time. And it's your writing, you know, and having that author status. And I think even that encourages children, you know, to think anything is possible, you know, let's reach the stars. I think
Oh
there's
yes,
such a relatability there.
on that point, I had somebody else message me again on Instagram saying, what did they say? Oh, you have inspired my daughter to become an author. And then the next
Wow.
day, she went herself in her little notebook and just wrote down a little adventure her mom showed me. And I was like, oh my God, this is precious.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
you don't realize you go, you talk, you come out, you go to the next school. You don't actually, it's difficult. Sometimes it's easy to forget what for the first
Yeah.
time somebody's
Yeah.
hearing this for the first time. It's easy to forget the impact it can have, you know, and it's powerful. It's really powerful too. That's why I'm really passionate to just, as much as I can, you know, get it out there and just be able to talk about it myself personally, because it's myself. It's my journey, and I know a lot of other women are on the same journey but aren't able to talk about it the way I can, because I've come along a little bit further. I mean, I had another lady message saying that after our launch was amazing, Flo. It
Yeah.
really was amazing. And that was a pinch me moment. It really was. And because my brother, bless him, took over completely, I was like, you are being a bridezilla, you're taking over. What is this? These bells and whistles. I didn't want any of this, but I walked in and I loved it. What
You
he done.
loved it.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Great book
Got
launch,
little
the best book
placards of
launch.
he'd done it all, and I was so thankful for him and on it, all my family, everybody that pitched in, because they were like, they had t-shirts done, and I didn't know. I'd just get whisk here and there. I'm like, tell him I don't want drama. Tell him I don't want drama. I just want a little table in that soft play center. I'm just going to sign some books, have a coffee, go home. But it was amazing. It really was. And I'm glad it turned out the way it was, because it turned out it was, and he pitched it as an autism awareness acceptance evening, and we had professionals there that people, and what I was saying is at the back of that, I had so many ladies say to me that thank you for bringing, you know, just being able to talk about, you know, just talking about autism, not about diagnosis, not about things to do, procedures to follow, blah blah blah, just to stand there and say it's all right. Talk about it. It's a safe space. That's what we needed. And she goes, I had a specific mom said, it gave me the push to actually the next day go to pick up the phone and speak to my the Senko at my daughter's school and tell her, this is what I think we're dealing with.
Yeah.
I need you to push this further. And she goes,
Yeah.
because I was always like, should I not? They've not said anything.
Yeah.
The thing, parents, so the parents have to be the advocates. These
Yeah.
children don't have a voice right at the beginning. So
No.
you're not going to advocate it as a parent. Who's going to advocate anything for that child? And you
Yeah.
have to be open to these conversations. And a
Yeah.
lot of it is, normalizing it. We have to normalize it, because once people start talking about something, it becomes normal to talk about it.
Yeah.
And then, other conversations can be had. So that breakthrough needs to happen. So much needs to be done still. But yeah, Earmuffs to the Moon it's a icebreaker.
Yeah. Absolutely. Icebreaker right here, Earmuffs to the Moon. It's available now. It's out worldwide. Get a copy if you haven't already. Enjoy it, love it, share it. And let's continue the conversation that's started. And yeah, we'd love to hear from anyone that's had such a wonderful experience with reading Earmuffs to the Moon. And yeah, I'm sure you will be hearing a lot more of Hafiza and ourselves discussing Earmuffs to the Moon in the future. Thank you ever so much for joining us today.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure.
I have loved it, and look forward to seeing and speaking with you again real soon. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Flo. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.